This changes everything. I'm really excited. Let's get right into it.
Earlier this year, you heard me say the new Grip X is pretty sweet. You'll love it when it's time to get it. Then I showed the new Transfer Neo seat post, which works awesome, better than its closest competition. But I also leveled with all of you that the whole concept is priced beyond the reality for many of us. I'm saying this now because I want to point out that my takes on a lot of this stuff might not be the most typical, perhaps not what the industry wants me to say, but they are indeed genuine. Fox is the most popular suspension brand for a good reason. They make great products, and I'm absolutely flattered to get to try some of it before it becomes public.
Out of all the new Fox stuff for 2024, I have to say I'm most excited about this right here, Live Valve Neo. Not only does it do what it promises, but it does it far better than I ever expected.
Perhaps my favorite aspect about Live Valve Neo is that it will change for the better how our bikes are designed. To top it off, it's also less expensive than I expected. So, what is it?
Right there. Oh, you see the flash?
Yeah, system's on.
Huh.
At the root of it all, the Live Valve Neo system keeps the shock automatically in a very firm mode with a very aggressive pedaling platform in place. Then as soon as a bump or free fall is detected, it opens the system up. Sounds impossible, right? It's not.
On this bike, the green LED on the side detects that the system is open and anticipating a bump. Check out how well it works. The system even detects any kind of free fall.
Notice how it lit up before it hit the ground? That's pretty cool. I want to give a big thanks to my friends over at Jensen USA who sponsored this video. Jensen's a top online retailer in the United States of America for all kinds of mountain bike parts and accessories, but especially for Fox suspension. Jensen will be among the first online retailers to have an inventory of Live Valve Neo parts, so if you want to do an aftermarket retrofit of your current bike, take a look at Jensen USA and what they have available. Furthermore, Jensen sells a ton of complete bikes with a very simple system where it's just a big box. All you do is put the handlebars on and your bike's set and ready. And they'll likely have some of the first OEM bikes spec'd with Live Valve Neo available as well. I'm gonna link to all the Fox product available at Jensen USA down in the description below. Anything you purchase from that link will directly help support my channel, which is a huge part of how we're able to put these videos together. So big thanks to Jensen. Thanks to Fox for loaning me this stuff and let me try this out. And thanks to all of you for cruising by and checking out the video. Please do subscribe, that'll help. In addition to Jensen USA, I have one sponsor I want to thank, and that's Shimano. I'm running Shimano parts on all my personal bikes and really, really enjoy them. Short shock, big dreams.
With Live Valve Neo turned on, the shock is defaulting to the firm mode with an adjustable yet fairly substantial pedaling platform in place. When the system senses impacts, free fall, or any sort of bump, it opens the rear suspension up. And it does this much faster and much better than you would ever expect. The system is just 3 components: a complete dedicated rear shock, a front bump sensor, and a rear bump sensor. The shock is either a Float X or a DHX coil, as the system is optimized for trail and all-mountain applications. That said, Fox says its athletes have raced at the highest levels in both enduro and downhill using this as well. The Live Valve Neo system only activates the rear shock, as according to Fox, there's no way to sense a bump on the front axle, then somehow soften the suspension before that bump affects the ride. By placing a calibrated front-specific bump sensor on the front wheel and another calibrated rear-specific sensor on the back wheel, the system can sense the terrain's angle and bump force. The only way the system works as well as it does is because it reacts to the terrain incredibly quickly. The sensors talk to the controller on the shock with a wireless connection technology that Fox built with the sole goal of being as fast as possible. This communication system is called Neo, and it's the secret sauce that Fox is most proud of. It's what makes this all possible.
Yeah, like it is 2.4 gigahertz like Bluetooth is. We are using hardware designed to run the Bluetooth stack, but with an entirely different radio protocol layer. So it's like the mechanisms that run Bluetooth communications, but entirely different logic, allowing it to be a lot faster.
To physically make the changes between firm and open unnoticeable while riding, Fox did not use a motor for this. Instead, the shock has a 2-position magnetic latching solenoid.
So it's a magnetically operated solenoid. So basically when you have a communication that comes in from one of the front or rear sensors, it's telling the shock, hey, I need to do something, and it's flipping a switch that creates a magnetic charge, and that pulls a solenoid kind of open or closed essentially.
I didn't know what that is, so here's an example.
When that solenoid is activated, meaning that it's designed to firm up the system, it essentially plugs the compression circuit in a way. It reduces the flow of kind of oil in that compression circuit, so there is still like a little bit of give there, and that's why it's adjustable.
The solenoid solution is great, as it's extremely fast, uses very little energy, and generates minimal heat. It's also simple. Fox claims that mid-corner, the system stays open for traction, but then it's firming up to help pump you out of the exit. Fox also claims that when hitting jump takeoffs, you have a firmer feel and can get a little more pump. We'll get into my own ride impressions in a little bit, so hang tight. Typically, a DHX or FloatX is adjustable low-speed compression, low-speed rebound, and a firm switch. Live Valve Neo, both on the FloatX and the DHX coil versions, share the same 3 adjusters: low-speed compression, low-speed rebound, and then a unique 7-position adjuster that controls how firm the system is at default. Do we need an automatically firming rear suspension?
9 out of 10 times, I'd rather not mess around with any kind of a firm switch in my rear shock. I'd rather just pedal. This Pivot Firebird's an amazingly efficient bike, but still, when I hit that firm switch, I notice there's a little bit more efficiency. There's more to be had. I'm out of water. It's been a 4-hour ride. I gotta slog up a big hill. That is nice to have that option for a firm switch. With the system on and going, I've got 0 rear shock movement, just nice firm pedaling platform. But if I were to steer off the road and go hit a jump, everything would be fine. It would open right up. No thinking about your suspension, and I think that's really cool. Let's remove the battery and show this bike doesn't actually pedal that bad. But still, if you're tired with the backpack on, it's nice to have that pedaling platform.
When the bike feels more efficient, you feel more inspired to pedal harder. That mental edge is huge for anyone trying to ride their best. I'm the guy who rides a lot of hardtails and even fully rigid and really enjoys that experience. No, we don't technically need any of this, but if we're looking for the best possible performance and not just a good experience, well, then things change. For example, I took this Ibis Ripley, a bike that pedals extremely well, and tossed on the DHX coil version. Why not use the plushest shock available if it won't affect the pedaling performance? The Live Valve Neo system allows frame designers to minimize the amount of anti-squat in a full suspension design.
Dude, this sure shock works awesome. The way it just pulled that manual line.
Rather than relying on chain tension to firm up that rear suspension, when that purpose is separated out of the mechanical bits of the frame, the design can then instead focus on maximizing traction, predictability, and forgiveness. As a result, we'll have fewer compromises. Bikes will climb better with Neo Live Valve than they ever did formerly, and in the rough, the potential of that rear suspension will truly become realized. This is super cool.
If you're really concerned about going the fastest you can, which a lot of folks out there are, a small section like this is a perfect example of the advantage of Live Valve. So here you can get a handful of pedals in out of this corner, up this hill before jumping this little gap right here. And it's a great example of where Live Valve works, and it gives you a bit of a boost on something like this that you wouldn't have if the bike was still fully open. I'm not saying this bike doesn't pedal well, this bike pedals amazing, but it can pedal even better with the rear shock made firmer in a non-bump high power instance like that right there. Yes, it is an electronic bike part, so it's gonna use an app. But what I thought was cool is you only really have to use the app on the initial setup. You gotta Bluetooth connect the sensors to the shock controller, and you gotta tell the shock controller what tune you wanna start with. And that's it. It's a pretty easy get up and go process. I have found myself checking into the system to see what the battery life is, to see how many hours are on the rear shock, and I have changed tunes a little bit. I've predominantly left it in the firm tune because right now it's still so dry in the Northwest, we have so much traction, I'm not looking for any extra grip. Even in the firm mode with the firm dial turned up pretty high, I'm blown away at how seamless this transitions from firm pedaling platform to wide open. I don't really notice the system a ton on the sketchiest of downhills. Today I want to introduce this system to Logan, and he's not even been allowed to squish this bike yet. So Logan's coming into this totally fresh and blind. So first up, he's gonna try it with the system deactivated. So I'll just pull the battery because I'm a peasant like that, and this is how I turn things off.
Just rode over a little rock.
How's it feel?
Feels good. I would be content riding that as it is all day. So I'm very curious how much better it can get.
Should we toss a battery in there and turn the system on?
Yeah, let's see.
Battery is now installed in live valve.
Right there. Oh, you see the flash?
Yeah, system's on. All right, we'll leave everything going. Roll on down and let's repeat.
Huh. Interesting. Same rock.
How'd it go?
I can't tell if it's placebo or not.
What did you feel different?
I think it felt a bit more like lively, more of an efficient pedal. But I don't know if that's true. Like, it's so tough to tell.
Everyone says that suspension helps the climbing steep technical things. So I went to one of the steepest, most technical climbs that I know of in this neighborhood. And we're gonna send Logan up it with the shock fully open, no battery, and then we'll put the battery in and see if he can still make it. All right, give it a go.
I didn't go that far.
Logan's so stoked right now. Good job, dude.
Oh,
Good job.
almost
Nice.
lost it there. Oh, that was hard.
Congrats on making the hardest climb in town.
Yeah,
How do you feel?
I feel tired.
Yeah,
Give me the easier.
the easy pill.
I would be content with it as it is.
Yeah, that's a good bike.
Like, it pedals, this bike pedals really well. Half sitting, half standing. And when you go over, I don't know, some rock while you're sitting, come back on the other side, you can feel it sagging.
It goes into the travel.
Yeah, I'm curious to feel it on this because like the suspension movement on this climb specifically, I think would be kind of important. I feel like I have more traction.
More
actually.
traction.
Like, I think it actually feels like an impressive amount more traction. Like, I didn't have to try quite as hard.
I don't want to give my reaction up.
Oh, before I
I don't want to influence you.
to. Okay.
So, but I have mine. I'm gonna write mine down.
I don't know if you need to write it. What are you gonna write it on?
Well, I can use voice to text, so you can't listen.
Just text.
I have something for you.
Yeah, give me that.
That's not how we ask nicely, sir.
I was going slow and kind of pulled. Now I'm curious to do the same thing. See if it feels different. Ah. I think where it did vary is on the takeoff of that little jump. The jump is like kind of hard to make. When I did it the second time with it on, I put in the same amount of push and pull off of the takeoff, and in return I got more distance and
More
height.
distance of the turned on.
And height is what I think I felt.
And was the same in the corner.
I thought it felt the same in the turn, both
Okay.
turns each time. Oh.
So what's the verdict?
I think it felt nearly exactly the same.
Whoa! Definitely faster.
So you think you can feel a difference?
Yeah, it definitely went faster that time. It pumped way better. I didn't blow my little bonus huck. Did the little manual line, which really requires good traction and like compliance and all that and back. Didn't get anything funky from that. It worked good. And then pumping through the turn, I still had good support. And when I went to pump, the first couple, it held up a lot better than it did earlier. So kind of overcleared that triple, but then all this carried more speed, and that last jump, I cleared it. I rarely clear that last jump. I don't think people in town even know that there's a landing. That's a bit of a reach. Now, obviously, anyone with a racing application is really going to benefit from Live Valve Neo, but beyond that, anyone who's looking for the most ultimate high performance for their regular riding will benefit. But in the future, as bikes are designed differently to incorporate less of a natural kinematic-based pedaling platform and rely more on Live Valve Neo, and instead have a more plusher suspension design, then I think we're all going to benefit from this new tech. And that's part of why I'm so excited about this. This is actually going to change the way bikes are built.
So let's wrap this up. I'm blown away this all works as well as it does. Also turns out the pricing isn't bad, considering the amount of technology here. The bump sensors are $400 for the pair, then you'll need a shock. The DHX coil version is $950 and the FloatX Air Shock is $1,000. Considering many folks will spend up to $1,200 for just a rear shock, I think the pricing is fairly realistic. But again, I don't think Fox's goal here is actually the aftermarket. I think the goal here is more for OEMs who will build bikes completely around this system. Now, the main downside for me is getting used to dealing with batteries. I struggle to remember to charge them. Same as for the seat post. Battery life wasn't quite as good as I expected, but I don't have much to compare this all to. Another downside on Live Valve Neo, it's not always a slam dunk faster. I did some timed runs on the Process 153 and did not have consistently faster times with the Live Valve Neo. I had thought that of all the bikes here, the one that would benefit the most would be the Process. Turns out, how you're feeling and how well you're actually riding that day still matters more than the actual lost time of additional suspension movement. I definitely tend to prefer the system, but aside from the party tricks, it's not always a massive benefit. But it's definitely not worse.
Thank you all for joining me here. Please scroll down, hit that red subscribe button. That'll help me out a ton. Thank you.